Oh, good morning. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to give here a little talk about innovation, about the well legal project management. Um, on this matter, I'll try to be very concise and short. But I've seen the evolution on, let's say, on legal services for the last few years. I remember seeing, let's say, the first commercial from a legal firm on legal project management. But being a project manager for over 20 years, I believe it's very interesting to see how aspects that have been, let's say, more connected in regarding project management with with IT or with other industries that have to do with delivery are now being introduced into legal services. What I find it more interesting is that this is still quite young on the legal side, and the reason for it is probably because of lack of client demand, meaning that legal services are very specific, are very much based on trust and sometimes also on again reputation, credibility, prior knowledge of the persons with whom we usually want to be connected and to be doing the work for us because we've had a previous good experience, and there is no, let's say, no detailed procurement process, no detailed, let's say, how do we acquire legal services. And I believe that this is where we will be going into in the near future, where the demand for more details regarding scope of services, regarding deliveries, regarding timelines, and all of the aspects that require a more, let's say, a more project managed legal service delivery, which will have to focus on, again, time, scope, quality of the services, all the other aspects as is stakeholder management and so on. And so a more demanding client will force, let's say, the market for legal services to adapt and to be able to provide a lot more aspects in terms of not only to provide what is, let's say, the core of the business, which is to provide, let's say, the service that is required for the client, but also to give all the other aspects in terms of the management of those services that are more and more in demand. And this is how businesses are transformed. I can see, let's say, the what is happening now in several of these cases where I'm involved in dispute resolution and so on. There's a lot more uh, being addressed. It's no longer only the provide to provide, let's say, a deliverable in the end. It's all the process that goes through it. It's about the external project management to your client, which again it's becoming more and more relevant. And then it's the internal project management. It's the side of let's say, of what is more very common in my industry, in construction and engineering and so on, of managing time, of managing costs, of managing the quality of the service, and of the deliverable in ways that are very much measurable and quantifiable, which is very interesting to start seeing in, let's say, legal services of some sort, to start to see schedules being developed, to start to see resource allocation being developed, to start to see a number of aspects that will be more and more required, and that will enable, let's say, companies to start providing lump sum offers instead of hourly rate based offers, or other forms that are, let's say, more towards what the clients today want, which is to have a fixed cost for a certain service instead of just having an open-ended uh, uh, um, type of cost. That said, and trying to be also quite quick in terms of innovation. Well, I believe it's been on the news, so it's no news anymore. The innovation aspect that AI and large language models is bringing, especially to the delivery of services like legal services and others. Um, And on this sense, I believe it's very interesting, the sort of things that very quickly are started are starting to appear in the market. I'm talking about AI, let's say, connected to document management and to searches throughout thousands of documents, which is usually a big issue and a very much time-consuming part of the services that well, legal services provide in certain cases, especially on the ones that I'm involved in dispute resolution. It's very much factual and documented oriented. Um, on this sense, I believe that let's say in the next 1, 2, 3 years, either companies adapt and they'll become more efficient because they start to use models that are less, let's say, human dependent and less hours dependent, and more based on technology that will accelerate the search of, let's say, from a documental point of view. This, let's say, the relationship between these sort of innovations and project management is very much key, because one cannot simply replace the human factor and expect the result to be the same, especially because there are nuances on writing and so on that one might use, especially on the creative side of the legal service. One might use for its arguments, for the benefit of its clients, and so on and so on. So there's here a balance between wanting to accelerate the production of work by using other innovative means, which is again, it's something the clients will look for, because it might mean that the service is provided faster or cheaper. So this is something that the market will want, but of course this cannot be done at the expense of the end quality of the product or the service that is delivered. So there's here a balance to be achieved, and I believe that the companies that do the best, let's say, job at achieving this balance will be the ones that will come out succeeding, because in these fast periods of transformation in markets, what you see is that it's companies, some of them will adapt and will continue to grow and will have their their opportunities to actually make a difference. Let's have an example with the online banking. Let's say the online banking started just a few years ago. In terms of purely online banks that don't have any physical let's say subsidiary, any physical branch, um, and this again started a few years ago. It appeared that it would not be a big challenge to the retail usual banks. On the contrary, they're taking over because generations change, people change their habits, and so um, they're taking over a big chunk and a big part of the market. So I believe what we see today with AI and the opportunities it creates, especially in legal services, will create this sort of moment of change. So either the companies adapt and are flexible and can change their ways in a way to take advantage of these opportunities, or others will enter the market and will provide the services that is required, will find their niche, will find their place in the market to cater for a certain type of clients, which will lead to positive changes. Hopefully, that will lead to a more evolved market. Um, as a one last point that will be interesting is how the introduction of these sorts of, let's say, new tools and innovation and even legal project management could cater to provide services for more clients. One of the issues with legal services is, let's say, the cost. It's the cost of hours of experience of a service to be delivered. If this service can be a lot cheaper, then it means that a lot more clients can actually obtain a service that would not be possible at a certain point. And I'll give a quick example again on my experience and on my line of work, which is to do with dispute resolution. Well, no one goes to arbitration for claims which are minor, which are maybe tens or even a few hundreds of thousands of euros. Uh, will not go to arbitration because arbitration will be so expensive that will deem, let's say, the risk reward assessment, let's say, to eventually be, uh, uh, let's say, a bad decision actually to try and go to arbitration. It's probably better to arrive at a bad deal now than to arrive at a better deal in 1 or 2 years time. And in this also is affected by all the costs of arbitration, the costs of counsel, the costs of experts, and so on and so on. So if the let's say the new tools, including project management, into these services may allow for costs to be lowered, or for different levels of service based on a target objective, which is it's a different concept used a lot in engineering and construction, that could be let's say turned into other services as are legal. It could be very interesting to see if this actually allows for more cases to be resolved with a level of quality which might be interesting, with a level of service that will be, let's say, fit for its purpose, and allowing for more entities to achieve, let's say, what one would expect to be natural justice, instead of simply having to have a lose-lose situation where the costs of trying to achieve some justice in some way is just overwhelming compared to the benefit that it could come from that side. So I believe there's a lot to happen. There's a lot to that these changes will bring into the markets, and hopefully in the near future we'll start to see these changes happen. I hope that the conference has been a success and is a success, and that all have gained more and more experience and knowledge out of this. I'm sure that I will when I check the contributions of everyone. Thank you very much, and hope to see you next year.